Welcome back, everybody. I'm Stuart with smallcapvoice.com, and I'm joined once again by Robert Blagman. Robert is with Marketing Worldwide Corporation. He is their media and marketing's pioneer and specialist. We've gone over why he's a pioneer. I know Robert blushes at that comment, but let me also give you the ticker symbol for the company, MWWC. Robert, thanks for making time for us once again.
Love it. Thank you, Stuart.
Absolutely. We've learned a lot from you. And as we have been talking and learning more and more about how content is created, how we are evolving in this medium to controlling and owning the subscriber or the viewer in this case, let's talk a little bit about why is there so much failure in the content. So we're talking about sort of what's called soft scripted, not your scripted out sitcoms, not your scripted out Law and Orders, but your soft scripted, which I would assume includes a lot of the reality TV that we see today. And of course, Marketing Worldwide Corporation will talk about your Hollywood After Dark programming here in just a little bit. But why is there so much failure? And as you say, it can be completely avoidable.
You know, so many people, is easy in hindsight, 2020 vision and things like that, to say why something can't fail. And, there'll be people, executives in the television industry who'll say that I don't know what I'm talking about. We deal with that. Everybody who's watching this, whatever they do for a living, people who are naysayers, and there's another way. But I just want to give a very, very ridiculous example. How many times in your life or anybody's life have you seen somebody building a building on your block or an apartment building or a small house, and a week later, all of a sudden it collapses? It doesn't happen. There are collapsed buildings, but you find out later it's because of some issue. But it's because the foundation wasn't built and there wasn't enough research. There wasn't enough knowledge put into it. Buildings don't come down. Television is easier than building a building. And basically, the reason there's failure, and then I'll tell you why we just don't allow failure and how you get around it, is because old Hollywood, old television type of way of doing things is you get people with wonderful, huge egos, big celebrities, and a brilliant idea, and everybody falls in love with it. And they spend millions on a pilot. They put the pilot on, and if the pilot doesn't do well, they've just spent all that money for nothing. And let's say the pilot does well and you're on for 1 year, but you never got a return on investment because it didn't resonate long enough. I mean, it's all hit and miss. What we do, and what I've been doing for decades, is we speak with TV stations all around the world, trying to find out what they are looking for. You're looking for this type of show, looking for that type of show. So we immediately talk to our TV stations. We're moving into their neighborhood. What would work in your neighborhood? Like what house? What would work in your neighborhood? Then we also talk with consumers. We find out what the consumers want. And in addition to that, we create a base of as many TV stations around the world as possible to carry our show right from the beginning. So if we have, as we do with a little effort, we've talked about this before, up to a third of the planet's consumers, and let's say we get 100 million people, 50 million people, 20 million people to view something, that's a big enough base where we could then we have advertisers who will also back the show. So we have a foundational base where the networks want it and they'll give us a 1, 2, or 3 year deal. We have advertisers that'll sponsor it, and we have viewers who want to see it. Plus we use social media, digital, any merchandise, anything we can to build this business. Here's the bottom line. When a pilot goes on the air, and everybody knows what pilot's just one test show, or it's on for a few episodes and it disappears. What they haven't done is they haven't covered every possible cash flow line: merchandising, t-shirts, hats, contests, promotions, product placement. If you do all of that and you work in that formula, your chance of failure is low. And I know I'm speaking a lot about this, but I also want to mention that the reason it's low is because we at least check with our networks what they want. We try to make it culturally relevant to our markets. We just don't go in thinking, I have a great idea. Well, the thing is that before we spend a penny on a TV show, we already know we have clearance, we already know we have the audience, we already know we have advertisers. when typical old-fashioned Hollywood does it, they spend $2-3 million on a pilot, put it on the air, and then wonder, will the people like it? Will the advertisers want it? Will it make it on the web? Will it get social media? We do all that in advance.
Well, then let's talk about Marketing Worldwide Corporation and the content that it's creating using you as its, again, pioneer to kind of trailblaze for this company, this right way of doing things. How's it going to be done? I mean, obviously, when you have shareholders and shareholder oversight and this board of directors, you're adding this whole new element to the company and to your process.
Yeah, you do. But the point is, it's basic mathematics and effort. The point is, even if a show, a series, or anything that we put out in content, and we work with streaming services, we work with all different networks around the world. There's no network we can't work with. We work with Discovery, A&E, Fox, NBC in the United States, major networks around the world, because the business has changed. So maybe a show like when we did, and this is an actual number. I mean, when I did Poker After Dark, I think its second year, the show netted over 50 million in profits. That's after everybody was paid. Lights were paid for, rent was paid, and it did really well. But there were other shows that we did that only made 2 or 3 million, but it still made money. Was it as successful as Poker After Dark? No, but it still covered its basic costs. We don't move forward unless we cover the basic costs. So having the public watching, having the board watch is a pleasure, because if they watch and they say, this doesn't make sense, then I've not done my job. I've got to say, here's how we're backing up our investment of time, money, and effort. Does it make sense? And if it doesn't make sense to anyone, if it doesn't make sense to the common man, if you will, or top executive, then we shouldn't be doing it. You know, I mean, buildings shouldn't fall, and they don't. TV shows shouldn't fail. And if you have a big enough base of audience, if you control the consumer in a proper and respectful manner, if you control the consumer and you have them there, there'll be a critical mass that you will make a return on investment. Will it be this much or this much? As long as you're making more than you're spending, that's all we're looking to do. And why television hasn't done that more, they're being forced to now. Our first show that's being funded is Hollywood After Dark, which will be a weekly live on tape program from Hollywood, where we'll have celebrities, singers, sports people, entertainers all together in a room, reminiscent of Playboy After Dark from the late 60s, early 70s. And it'll be a live show that we're going to beam around the world. And we're probably going to reach, where projections will reach about a third of the planet's consumers just on that show. And we're already in talks with many advertisers to underwrite the show. So those two factors already allow us to know the type of success we'll have. Now we're talking about how big a success. We're already ahead of the game.
Exciting times once again, speaking with Robert Blagman, media pioneer and specialist for Marketing Worldwide Corporation, ticker symbol MWWC. It's been a great series of interviews with you, Robert. We're going to give you some time now to run the company, because we want to check back in with you as some of this content and programming starts to come to fruition and rolls out. We look forward to speaking with you again, Robert.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right, for Robert Blagman, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in right here at smallcapvoice.com.